Hello everybody, welcome to my second ASMR video. I posted that first one not really expecting a whole lot, and was thrilled to see that people enjoyed it. I didn't find out until like right before I recorded this video that it got so many views and so many of you liked it, so I'll make some more. I was trying to decide like what would be a good follow-up video after showing my watch collection, and I was like, well, I just showed you all my watches, and I don't know if I could make a long enough video going like watch by watch and doing like a review. So I ultimately decided to do something kind of different, but it is still a collection, but it isn't watches. But that being said, thank you guys for joining me today as I go over my CD collection. I think I mentioned in my first video that I'm super into music. I'm not sure if it's in frame, but there's a bunch of music making equipment over there, a DJ board and stuff over there, and like I live in a one-bedroom apartment, and my living room is basically just a music studio. So I basically, yeah, I love music a lot, and so today I'm going to be going over my CD collection. Now, I know today it's like really popular to collect vinyls and and records, and I do want to get into that someday, but I literally don't have space for a record player anywhere in my house. And so I collect CDs. My car, I drive a 2019 Audi S5, and I think that's the last year Audi made cars with CD players. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, sick, I'm going to get a bunch of CDs. And so the CDs I'm going to show you today are not all of my CDs. I'm missing a couple. And then I also have like, I'm missing a couple that I really like, and then I have a stack of CDs that I bought in like a mystery box at a local record shop. And most of them I don't listen to and don't know. With that being said, in no particular order, let's get into it. So the first one here is OK Computer by Radiohead. This is what that looks like. So I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan, but I do like Radiohead a lot. I like OK Computer. My favorite Radiohead album, which this is a really basic pick, but I love In Rainbows. And then my second favorite is probably Kid A, which we'll get into later, but yeah, so OK Computer. This is obviously a huge album with songs like Paranoid Android, which is a fantastic song. That's probably the one most people know. But yeah, I got this at a record shop where I live. I went looking for records, and they had some Radiohead stuff, and so I picked it up. Let's go. I guess I'll just go into another Radiohead one. This is Kid Amnesiac. So it's got Kid A and Amnesiac. 3 discs came in it, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Some of my favorite art for sure out of all of the albums. Then yeah, different art on that side. But yeah, so Kid A. This album, Kid A has so many great songs on it, and oh yeah, we've got a little insert here too. The discs are, a lot of them are in my CD player that I have in my apartment, and I don't want to get them out, but got this little thing with it's just like production credits and then some more art. But yeah, everything in its right place, I think, is blown up kind of on the various short form media platforms. Yeah, so I don't have too much to say about that. As I said, I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan, but I like some of their songs, and they're cool CDs to have. But that brings me to an album that I do know a lot about, and this was actually my first CD. This is Vincent by Fkj. His second album that he's released. And then he has one EP, which is my favorite of all of his projects, but this album is so good. I got to see FKJ live at Red Rocks after he released this. It wasn't right after. I don't think it was technically the tour for Vincent. But this album has so many great songs. I wish, is there a track list anywhere in here? Let's see. There's the disc. Not a whole lot going on with the disc. There is no track list, but if you haven't listened to FKJ before, I really recommend you give him a try. Oh wait, no, there is a track list. You've probably heard his song with Masego Dadao. It's a banger. I think that's probably how I found him, but I don't really remember. But on this album, some of my favorite songs are Way Out, Different Masks for Different Days, Once Again I Closed My Eyes, but the entire album is fantastic. I was in Puerto Rico between Christmas and then a little bit after New Year's, and this album just was playing a lot when we were at the pool, or just in my friend's backyard at his pool and stuff like it. Banger album. Like I said, it's his second album, and my favorite project is Ilang Ilang when it comes to FKJ, but he's a French music producer. He does sing on it too, but it's a lot more about the production. And yeah, this was my first CD. I was really excited when that album came out. I feel like it was like a drought of no one I liked was releasing albums, and then finally FKJ released that, and then the floodgates kind of opened, and a bunch of albums that I've been waiting for finally got released. So yeah, FKJ, he's probably one of my top 10 favorite artists of all time. But that brings me to my next album, which is a classic. Everyone knows this album, Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I feel like anyone who collects any sort of physical music probably has Dark Side of the Moon in their collection. I first listened to this album like right after I graduated high school. Or I think I was still technically in high school, but COVID had just hit, so school was basically over. But yeah, I mean, my favorite song on this is The Great Gig in the Sky, but every song, I mean, I mainly only listen to this front to back. I don't know what else I need to say about this CD. It's amazing. It's influenced so much. Pink Floyd is one of the greatest bands of all time. Really started the whole psychedelic movement, or brought it to be as big as it is now. So yeah, Dark Side of the Moon, gotta have that. Next, this case is pretty beat up, as are a lot of these cases, but this is maybe my favorite artist of all time. Not my favorite project from him, but we'll get into that. Everything he's released is amazing, literally everything. And that is Channel Orange by Frank Ocean, the only easily accessible physical form of any music you can get from Frank, the Channel Orange CD. I guess now the blonde vinyl that just lives on his website, but I have so many memories with this album. I could go on and on and on, but the one I'll share is the first time I heard it. There was a huge snow ice storm where I lived when I was in 5th or 4th grade, and school got canceled for 3 days, and it was amazing. Power was out, but we had a generator at my house, so it didn't really affect us too much, and the power came back within half a day. But this album, my brother was a senior in high school at that time, and so we were looking for something to do, and there was a game store, physical game store and trading card store that was open, and my brother had just showed me how to play this game that I don't remember the name of, but it's got these little figures of all different kinds, and they're known superheroes and stuff like that, and also not superheroes. I can't remember what that game is called, But hopefully that's a good enough description that if you know what the game is called, you know what I'm talking about. And as we were driving to that store through this like hellscape of ice, which it was kind of dangerous, but four-wheel drive car with winter tires were fine. He was playing Channel Orange, and the song Forrest Gump I remember really sticking out to me because I'd seen the movie and I was like, this guy's singing about Forrest Gump, what the heck? And I didn't get into Frank Ocean that moment, but that was like, my brother really introduced him to me, and I'm really grateful for that. So, in the same vein of Frank Ocean, both Odd Future members, the next album I have is Igor by Tyler, the Creator. This is the first album I ever listened to by Tyler. I wasn't really into him when this came out at all. But basically what happened is I was sitting trying to go to sleep, and I was scrolling on Twitter, and Tyler was just going crazy with the tweets, like tweet after tweet after tweet about like, yo, this album is sick, y'all are gonna love it and stuff like that, and just talking about how much he put into it. And so I was like, okay, and I had friends that were like liking the tweets and stuff, and so I decided to listen to it, and weirdly, the song What's Good, also Tyler's physical stuff is always great, all the lyrics and stuff here, but the song What's Good was the first song that I was like, oh, this is like, that really got me into Tyler. And then I kept on listening to the album and got into it more and more and more, and then today Tyler is one of my top 3 artists of all time. I know all of his albums extremely well. My favorite, it's tough to pick a favorite. It could be Wolf, it could be Igor, it could be Call Me If You Get Lost, it could be Flower Boy, it could be Cherry Bomb. It could be anything except Goblin, honestly. Goblin isn't terrible, but it's long-winded at points. I think I would have been more if I was a little bit like less like I was out of high school when I first listened to Goblin. So it's not like if it aligned better in my adolescence, I might like it more. But Igor, my favorite song off of Igor, maybe Are We Still Friends? It could be Gone Gone / Thank You, specifically. I don't know, I can't pick between those 2 songs. It could be Puppet, it could be, this is front to back, just a perfect album, similar to Channel Orange, in my opinion. Not in, like, the way they sound, but just both perfect. I forgot to say my favorite song on Channel Orange. Crack Rock is, like, my Frank Ocean song when I, like, am not sad, and just, like, want to vibe. Crack Rock is the move, even though it's not, like, it's a pretty sad story, but the vibe of it isn't that sad. Sweet Life, Super Rich Kids, Pyramids. It's a perfect album. How do you pick one? But that brings me to my next album, and this album is like critical to who I am today. Also got put onto this by my brother. And without this album and the artist, I don't think I'd be as into music as I am. And so that is Forever Ago by Bon Iver. Man, Restacks is my favorite, but perfect album again, no misses. I love Creature Fear, I love The Wolves, I love Flume, Lumpsums. Perfect, I tell you. So this album, which is a triple fold, I'm guessing this is near the cabin where he recorded it in. There's some really interesting lore behind this album. This album, again, like I said, my brother put me on. He would listen to Restacks all the time. And then from there, I got into 22 a Million a bunch. And then I, released shortly after that, and I loved that album. And And then I saw them at Red Rocks and at Vale at this amphitheater, and that was so amazing. And then finally, I did some mushrooms with my friends, and they were playing. We were just on this mountain in Colorado overlooking, I don't remember, but it was in Estes State Park. And we were tripping, and my friend played Bon Iver, Bon Iver, and my brother had always said, like, I didn't like Bon Iver. Bon Iver was my least favorite from Bon Iver, the self-titled album, for a long time, and then suddenly it became his favorite, and that kind of happened to me after that trip. So Bon Iver, the self-titled Bon Iver album, is my favorite from them, but the impact that this had cannot be overstated. It was so influential to so much other music, and it was so influential to my taste in music. Before that, I was just into, like, top 100 rap, pretty much, because that's what my peer group would listen to, and I wanted to play stuff that they liked. And so weirdly, like, my friend group stopped letting me get aux after I started getting into Bon Iver, because my music taste just became nothing like theirs after. Not to hate on their music taste, it's great, but just a different direction it went. But yeah, it's the next album. If you are a big Pink Floyd fan, you probably love this album. I like this album. I've never gotten super into it, but that's Animals by Pink Floyd. It's only 5 songs, but like each of them are 10 minutes, at least. And yeah, it's a cool album. I don't have that much to say about this. I think Dogs was my favorite off of this, but it's a concept album. I wish I could tell you more about this. I was just at a record store and I saw this and it's like, hey, new Pink Floyd album, I'll pick it up. But yeah, so next, In Rainbows, another Radiohead album. I've got 3 and I say I'm not that into them. I mean, I like Radiohead, I listen to them a decent amount, but In Rainbows is my favorite. I'm hoping there's a track list in here. I mean, Weird Fish is my favorite, / Arpeggi. Okay, we've got lyrics. Yeah, 15 Step is a crazy way to start. All I Need is that's what it's called, right? Yeah, All I Need is one of my favorites. If I ever am sad and I need to, like, be sad, this is a go-to album for me. I love In Rainbows so much. Yeah, I was, like, super depressed a year and a half ago, and this was just bumping, like, constantly. Yeah, so next, this is another one that my brother put me on. He was a big John Mayer fan in high school, not as much anymore. So when I was young, I loved John Mayer when I was like early middle school. My favorite albums by him, and I still love these, are Born and Raised, so good, and Paradise Valley. But this album, if I'm gonna tell someone who's really into music, or someone who's like, man, I just, like, John Mayer is too poppy for me, this is where I would send them. Where the Light Is, John Mayer, it's live in LA. I mean, this just shows, like, how good he is at guitar, and just, I feel like John Mayer doesn't get enough credit for how amazing he is. But Free Fallin', his cover of Free Falling is one of my favorites on this. I mean, in my opinion, it's better than the original, but yeah, so Where the Light Is, John Mayer. I don't listen to that album too often anymore, but I loved it. So next, this is my only dance album, which I do love dance music, specifically house. And so this artist is kind of who got me into house. I don't listen to him as much anymore, but that is Actual Life 3 by Fred Again. I got the signed one. It was only like 10 extra bucks or something like that. This isn't my favorite Fred Again album. I like Actual Life 2 more. But my favorites off of this are smile on my face. I think Kelly is the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah. It's either Kelly or Mustafa that I'm thinking of that I really like. But this album, it didn't get me into dance music. It was his Boiler Room set. If you haven't watched it, it's super good. But since then, that made me get a DJ board and learn how to DJ. And so now I'm super into dance music. Like I said, specifically house, which I guess if you're really into dance music, you probably think that's lame. But yeah, I listen to I like kind of chill house. Yeah, so next, another Pink Floyd. I think the reason I have so much Pink Floyd is because they sell them everywhere. But Wish You Were Here, this album I remember listening to for the first time and I was like not that into it. And then my friend bought this CD when we were CD shopping, because his car also has a CD player. This must be in my CD player. Anyway. And we listened to it on the way back, and my whole mind was blown. Shine On You Crazy Diamond is probably my favorite Pink Floyd song of all time, parts 1 through 5. And then Welcome to the Machine is so good, but yeah, Wish You Were Here, so good. This is probably my favorite Pink Floyd album. Alright, so we're getting down to the end of the CDs that I have here with me. I do have more. I'm missing Never Enough by Daniel Caesar. He's a top 5 artist of all time for me. Never Enough isn't my favorite by him. I like Freudian and Case Study 01 more. But I still love that album. Rearrange some of this stuff. Okay, there we go. And then I'm also missing Chromacopia. I got that on CD, which really interesting CD, at least the first release. It's like very different. It's like the unfinished version almost. Obviously there's the Cardi verse on there. And then someone else has a verse that isn't on the final release. Who was it? I don't remember. I think it's on Sticky. Someone else has it. It's a different verse. I don't know. But yeah, like, cool to have, but the mixing, like, there's no, every P really pops. It's one of, like, it's just unfinished. The mixing isn't as good, but anyway, Call Me If You Get Lost, the estate sale. I gave away my regular version of Call Me If You Get Lost. Wait, right. Yeah, I gave away my regular version of Call Me If You Get Lost. After I got this, kind of a fun story. I was just in the school parking lot, and I noticed someone had a golf sticker on their car, and I was like in the mood to do a random act of kindness, I guess, because I decided to put the CD just in their like windshield, in between the windshield wiper and the windshield, and be like, hey, I didn't even leave a note, but it's like, hey, you're a Tyler fan. I don't need this anymore. Maybe you'll like it. But my biggest gripe with the physical versions of Call Me If You Get Lost, Safari's not on there. Fishtail is great. I like Fishtail. Glad to have a song that's physical only. But you don't need to replace Safari. That's my favorite song on Call Me If You Get Lost. But yeah, so Call Me If You Get Lost. I loved this album so much. It was the first Tyler release that I was really looking forward to. And then the estate sale was like a nice little surprise. My favorite off the estate sale is probably Sorry Not Sorry. What a Day is pretty good too. Stuntman is good. But yeah, my favorite off of the regular album, like I said, is Safari. I love Corso, Sir Baudelaire, Hot Wind Blows, Massa. I mean, it's a banger album. Probably not my favorite from Tyler. Yeah, definitely not my favorite, but come on, man. Call Me If You Get Lost. Great album. So yeah, that brings me to the last album that I have here, and the last CD. This is also a DVD from Frank Ocean, Endless. I shouldn't breathe it. I shouldn't blow air into the mic. Endless, man. This is the album that finessed the music industry, finessed his label, got him out of his record deal. Initially only released as a visual album on Apple Music, I mean, so you could listen to it. It wasn't like hard to find. You didn't have to download it. But it was annoying it was annoying. So the CD isn't a CD player right now, but there's the DVD. And him building the staircase, which in the visual album he was building a staircase. Endless does not get enough love, man. And I get why it doesn't get enough love. A lot of people think it was just a throwaway project. It's hard to listen to. Like literally, it's hard. Like, I got like 100 viruses trying to download it and get it on local files, and I did it. I have a really high quality version of it now. But yeah, I got the CD because I love Frank Ocean a lot. I'll get Blonde at some point. But this album is maybe my favorite Frank album, which I know is a really hot take. But I feel like I really want you to know, like, go listen to this, and then listen to it again, and then again, and then again. It takes a couple listens to really understand it. Blonde is like, I feel like Blonde is like a very distinctly narratively sad, and Endless, there's not as much of a narrative. It's kind of like a more numb sadness in a way. But my favorite song on Endless is Rushes. The song that like made me really go back. It is only 15 seconds. It's Xenons with the blue color. If that's a least it look cool on you. But I can't say enough good things about this album. Every song is good. It's just such an experience. And yeah, 46 minutes of 120 hours in the life of Frank Ocean. It says it right there. Where's the rest of it, Frank? I've given up all hope that I'll ever release again. And it is what it is. At least everything he made was amazing. Now all we get is overpriced merch. Like once a week. or once a year. But yeah, so that's my CD collection. I can go in depth on a lot of these albums, and let me know if you guys would be interested in stuff like music reviews. I listen to a lot of music all the time. I could make videos about music production, but I guess that doesn't really work in ASMR. I could make videos about like my synthesizers or equipment, like gear videos. And I could make videos about anything else. I think I mentioned like gaming and just telling stories or talking about random stuff. Rambling videos are my favorite ASMR videos, so I definitely will make some of those. This video would fit in that vein, I feel like, because you don't really need to see anything. Like, it's not that important to see the CDs, but if you made it this far, thank you for listening. And thank you for watching. I'm gonna make videos pretty frequently now, at least 2 a week. I'll commit to 2 a week, and then maybe daily. Yeah. But yeah, thank y'all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.